Namaste. I have an interesting presentation for you today. This is on chess or Chaturanga. Actually, it's on Chaturanga. It's the ancient name of what originally was chess. It was started in India, invented in India, and then it was exported all across the world. And then, Chaturanga became Shatranj in the Arabic or Persian, and then from there it moved to West and came to be known as chess. Now, firstly, I was so the entire thought process for making this came from the recent victory of Gukesh, who became the youngest ever world chess champion. And I tried to find out his horoscope, and interestingly, I could not find his birth time, though his date and place are very well known. So I thought, why not take it as a challenge and try and reconstruct his horoscope? But actually speaking, you know what, where the real interest came for me is, you know, I was trying to, I was following a bit about the match, and for those who followed it, they would know that Gukesh won because of a critical blunder by his opponent Ding Liren, the then reigning world champion, where Ding moved a rook. Rook is a piece in chess, right? He moved a rook, and that was the critical mistake he did. Being an astrologer, immediately I started thinking, okay, is there any way to know in chess you have different kinds of pieces? You have the rook, you have the bishop, you have the knight and queen and pawns and king and so on. Uh, in Jyotish, can we try and see which planets represent them? That's the way astrologer likes to think. That's the joy of learning Jyotish. And you know, in these are the modern names. The bishop, and bishop actually means what? He's a bishop is a priest. Okay, but was that how the ancients actually thought about it? See, I like to go to the roots, and I believe our ancients thought of this game in a very different way. And that for me would reflect the Karaka in a true sense. Because while they changed the names, the moves of those pieces are very much the same or as what was originally thought about. Okay. So here I am showing to you what was the original thought process. So what we know as the bishop, or you know in Hindi they call it unt in chess. It's actually not unt, it is hathi, it's elephant. And what in Hindi they call hathi, or in English they call the rook or castle, okay, is not that. It is actually the chariot. You see, the only thing which remains the same is the knight or the horseman. That remains the same. It is still the horse. I mean, we call it knight. The knight also sits on a horse. But there's been a kind of interchange over here. The hathi has changed his position apparently. So originally he was a hathi, and he would move diagonally. So you see, this the entire concept behind this was how our armies in ancient times were structured. This is going back to, you may say, the Vedic times, because by the by even, you may say, Maurya times or Gupta times, we didn't have chariots that much. Okay, uh, and that's why maybe this Oont thing came into picture later on. Okay, but why the Hathi's position changed, I still don't understand. But in the original ancient texts, and if you see, for example, in Mahabharata, there is a classical description of Akshahauni. So Pandavas had 7 Akshahauni of army, and the Kauravas had a larger, that is 11 Akshauni of army, and Akshauni was comprised of certain number of certain things. At the basic element of it is a certain number of chariots, ratha, a certain number of elephants, and certain number of horses or cavalry, and obviously your foot soldiers. Okay, so these were the elements of the this thing. And then you had the mantri, which we know as the queen in modern days, and the king was the king. Okay, so this was the elephant. which we know as bishop today. And this is the knight, which is the horseman, and this is the rook, which actually is the chariot, not a castle, is the chariot. How can a castle move? See, just think about it. What a ridiculous nomenclature. Castle can never move, right? So it is a ratha. Ratha would move straight, moving down through the army lines, enemy army lines. Now, which would be which planet? Okay, I will be showing it all together to you. But before that, let's have a kind of thinking. Which would be which planet, rather than me just displaying it. So king, obviously, we think sun, right? Okay. But by the way, how many different kinds of pieces do we have? We have the king, one, queen or mantri, two, that is minister, and then you have the elephant, then you have the horse, four, then you have the chariot, five, and then you have the pawns, six. So six. So we're talking of six planets. Now, okay, leaving aside Rahu and Ketu in the normal astrology, that is weekday planets, we have the seven weekday planets. So which definitely means one planet is not included over here, and that is very interesting. This is how many of our things are there. In concepts are there. One planet would not be there. Why? Because it is the karaka of this entire thing. Now, what are we talking about? We are talking about chess, right? We are talking of, okay, it may seem a very peaceful thing, people are sitting, they're not actually fighting with each other, but it's actually real fight going on. It is a battle going on. Who is the karaka for battle in Jyotish? Come on, it's very simple. It is Mars. Interestingly, all my recent videos on sports, etc., has been on Mars, by the way. It's because it's about competition and fighting. But here, this is real fight. Okay. So Mars is the Karka. So that would not be included. So other planets other than the Mars will be representing the various things. Okay. The king is very simple. Sun. Sun is the king. He's always going to be the king. Um, okay. Before coming to the minister, now let's sort out the others. That would be more easy. Okay. Because when we talk of minister, normally we think of brahmanas and Jupiter and Venus comes to mind. But no, let's sort out the others first. So Hathi, see, in Jyotish, elephant is represented by Jupiter. Okay, no doubt about that. Jupiter is the heaviest one, heaviest planet. He's the biggest planet. He is he is elephant. Okay, and elephants are supposed to have a prodigious memory. I mean, maybe not like humans, but amongst the animal world, they are supposed to have a very, very long term memory ability. And Jupiter gives the ability of memory. So it's the size, it's the memory, and it's also the demeanor, of that. So Jupiter is elephant. Okay. Horse is Mercury. This is also very clear. Horse is Mercury. And the chariots is an interesting, this nothing clear, but you see, chariot is a yana, it is the vahana, and vehicle, it's a vehicle. I mean, you are using it in war for warfare purposes, but again it is carrying someone, right? uh, but it can be used other ways also. So vahana is ruled by Venus. Vahana is ruled by Venus. So, and by the way, this all is my theory. This is not something I've learned from my parampara. This is just my curiosity. So you're just taking my word for it. But on the front, regarding Jupiter being elephant and Mercury being horse, this is something I've learned from my gurus. Though I'm using it in the context of Chaturanga, but this is something I've definitely learned. And Sun being the king, these are no brainers. The chariot is something I'm using, and the fact is I'm relating this not to the modern definitions how they call it today, like bishop means a minister. No, I'm not looking at it in that way. I'm looking at how the ancients actually thought about it, because that is the largely that is the way these pieces, chess pieces, move even today. Okay, the rook moving straight, the knight moving in a sideways fashion, jumping, and the elephant moving diagonally. Okay, though some say, okay, let's leave it. That didn't make sense to me anyway. So, but yeah, elephant moving diagonally. So, so chariot is Venus as per me. Now, this is very quite clear. So the moon is the mantri or the queen. I mean, in the sense, the modern parlance of queen seems more this thing, but mantri is also not really out of the this thing, because if you see in the chess game, the 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 mantri or the queen, that piece holds a lot of power. Okay, the king is the seat of power, but it is the mantri who is sort of you know, controlling things, managing things, protecting the king, etc. Okay, uh, in moon also rules bureaucrats, so the bureaucrats are serving the king, right? uh, so that way, moon's association with mantri or queen is not out of the place. And the pawns are definitely Saturn. You know, you have the low level people who are doing the job, okay, uh, of fighting against each other in the front lines. Okay, so this is how I have put it. King is sun, minister is moon, or what we call as queen. Elephant is rook. Sorry, elef- elephant is what we call as bishop, that is Jupiter. Horse is knight, which is Mercury. Chariot is what we call today as rook, and that is Venus. And the pawns or the foot soldiers, I should have put it as foot soldiers, is Saturn. Okay. Now, with this basic thing, we are going to test it out. Okay. I'm only doing today one chart, that is of Gukesh. Maybe in future, if time permits, if I am enjoying it, I will look at more chess players. In Gukesh, obviously, the added challenge was we don't have the birth time. So I tried to figure out the birth time. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but let's see. So a little bit about Gukesh. Okay, here he is, focused on a chess board game, chess board. He's the youngest world chess champion. He became a grandmaster at age of 13. See, they say 12 years old, but we look at the age, which age you're in. You're in the 13th year of your life. Okay, that's how we think in Jyotish. He became champion at the 19th year. He's 18 years and few months. So he's in the 19th year. Okay. And by the way, 19, those who know Vimshotri, they know Saturn rules the 19th year, right? And Saturn must be important in this chart, I suppose, right? He learned to play chess at the age of 7. 7 again, Vimshotri, age of Ketu. We may also say Mars, not out of the place. We can look at both. Now, he defeated Ding Liren in the last of 14 matches. And the key reason was a blunder by Ding Liren in moving his rook, which is the chariot, that is Venus. Okay, so it was Venus who literally caused. I mean, and if you have noticed that game, please go and see that game. That game was headed for a draw, and this was the last of the 14 matches. If this went for a draw, both would be tied, and then it would go to tie breaks and all that. And Gukesh is not really considered among the strongest in those tie breaks and small time format kind of matches. Okay, so Gukesh all throughout had always been trying to win matches, while Ding Liren had been trying to draw the matches. Okay, so in this also Ding Liren and having white pieces, Ding was having white meaning you have the advantage. With that advantage, he tried to draw the match. He didn't try to win the match, and Gukesh was trying his best to win the match. And he was putting pressure again and again, little by little on Ding, and Ding was getting under pressure. And then because of that pressure, and then there was a time pressure also Ding had to face because of the time he took to make his moves. uh, he committed this blunder of making his moving his rook. Okay, and that is what the critical thing blunder which he did, and that Gukesh pounced upon it. If you go on YouTube, you'll see the reactions of people, and then there's a chess engine which immediately dropped Ding's chances of winning, etc. So it was a very very dramatic moment in that match. It was heading for a draw, and suddenly this blunder happened. So Venus actually caused Ding to lose the match. Okay, and then it caused a trade-off because of that rook. There was a trade-off rook, and because of that, Ding was forced to cause a trade-off of elephants, that is bishops. Okay, which is Jupiter. So though they got traded off, then what happened? Then Gukesh had the advantage. He had one extra pawn over Ding, and that meant difference between draw and a victory. Gukesh won because of that. That one extra pawn, and a pawn is Saturn. Interesting. These are planets we can see. Okay. Now, just for the record, but I'm not really going to use this maybe that much. Honestly, I can't say I know 100% of how to study this part, which is about the time when the match happened and basis that who would win. But just for the record, the match happened on December 12th, 2024. It started at 5 p.m. local time, 5 or 5:30, I'm not sure, but 5 p.m. I think at Singapore time. It was Thursday, Bharani Nakshatra and Taurus Lagna. But basis this, we can make some, basis the Panchang, we can make some comments definitely. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll show you chart which I have made. I mean, basis the time for Gukesh. I hope this is visible. Okay. So uh, I may not be able to explain a lot of things over here because some of these are advanced concepts, and some of this I am not at liberty to talk about also, because this is something I've learned from my gurus, and I have to maintain that sanctity of that. But um, he was born on 29th May of 2006. That is of no doubt at all. 29 May 2006. Time we don't know. Okay. Uh, if it was after sunrise, it means it was Somavara or Monday. If it was before sunrise, it means it was a Ravivara or Sunday. The tithi also changes. I think if it was after maybe was it 10 or so, 9:30, 10, then it is Tritiya. If it is before that, it is Dvitiya, Shukla Dvitiya. Okay. Now, see, there was one important thing. He has got his fame at a very young age. Okay, before that, do notice that whatever is Lagna may be, okay, and though I am here putting him as a Kanya Lagna, okay, or Virgo Lagna, you notice that there is this row of planets over here, which we call as a Graha Malika or a garland of planets. Okay, it starts with Rahu and then Venus, Sun, Mercury, Moon, Mars, Saturn. So all these planets are over here. Okay, and if Jupiter were say not out of this Rahu Ketu, let's say if it was inside here or over here, then this would have also been a uh, Kala Amrita yoga. But here it is not a Kala Amrita yoga because Jupiter is out of it. So Jupiter is not allowing it to become a Kala Amrita yoga. But do notice that it is all the planets barring Jupiter are involved in this. What happens when you have a Graha Malika yoga is that the energies of the person is all focused in one direction. Here we are talking of a person who at the age of 12 or 13, he says when he had won, I think 12, he was in his 12th year, when he had just won the under 11-year-old people players this thing children's all India tournament. At that time he said, I want to become the youngest chess world champion. So at that time, so and he has said it very clearly that every time he would just be thinking about it. It didn't matter to him whether he became the grandmaster, youngest grandmaster or not, but he wanted to become the youngest ever chess world champion, and that would motivate him. So this Graha Malika definitely gives immense focus in one direction. But you see, so many people could be born on this day. Okay. I mean, in fact, if Moon were to pass till here, yeah, uh, as long as Moon was here, this would be a Graha Malika. So it would be almost 2 days, 3 days. This Graha Malika is there. What matters is the other things. What Lagna you are born in, what is the Panchanga, etc. Okay, and that defines a lot. And then within even that Lagna, what is the Navamsha Lagna, what is the Shashtyamsha Lagna, and so on and so forth. Right? So not everyone born during these days is going to have that same thing. Not everyone born between say 28th, 29th of May of 2006 is going to have this, right? So um, Now the point is that he's definitely had his success at a young age in his early years, and this makes me do the critical decision that his lagna has to be a dual sign. I can't explain why to you because it's more high level stuff, but take my word for it. It has to be a dual sign because of that. Okay, it can't be a movable sign or a fixed sign. Now, then my question was, okay, between the dual signs, which one seems more likely? I looked at the Arudha Lagna primarily to see which looks better. See here, though it is showing Arudha Lagna in Capricorn, but there is, you see, we are talking of the Lagna being Virgo, uh, while Mercury is a lot of Virgo, definitely. But in our tradition, we also consider Rahu as a Lord of Virgo. So another Arudha Lagna will fall in the sign of Gemini, Mithuna. This Arudha Lagna is having Moon in it. Arudha Lagna with Moon itself indicates popularity, immense popularity. You will be known. Not just that, this is aspected by Jupiter. So he'll be known for not just his name, but for some skill set. He has some skill set because of which he is very well known. Okay. And then I had to also see this Graha Malika is, so, for example, I was debating between Pisces, Pisces Lagna. The Graha Malika starting in the first house and ending in the fifth house. That sounded very nice, by the way. But then there were other aspects of the Arudha Lagna, etc., which made me rethink about that. Okay. Though with that also with Ketu as well, Lagnesha Arudha Lagna can fall over here, but there were other things which I thought about it, and it made sense to me that that is Lagna over here in Virgo makes sense over here. Okay. Uh, Also another thing with Arudha Lagna we see is uh, basis the siblings. He's if I don't have the information, but I could not find anywhere. I think he's the only child. Because I could not find any mention of any sibling anywhere. Okay. Here with the Arudha Lagna in Gemini, the 11th house having Venus definitely will deny elder siblings. The younger siblings, there is a chance. Honestly, I don't know why this would not show the younger sibling. But anyhow, this is a Lagna for me. Looking at many things made a lot of sense. So here you have so Rahu as a Lagnesha. Okay, Rahu as a Lagnesha in the seventh house in Digbala. Rahu is known for strategy. See, when we talk of chess, two planets come to my mind, either Mars or Rahu. Okay, so these are Mars is like sheer fighting ability, Rahu is the ability to strategize, outthink, outmaneuver, and all. So this does show that he has that in great measure. With the Lagna over here in Virgo, the third house and the sixth house are the very malefic signs, and it is good to have malefic signs in the third and sixth house because it means, and they are not having any benefic influence. Okay, I won't really count this Mercury aspect over here. There's really no benefic influence over here, so it means that he has great ability to attack and to defend. He knows that very well. Third house is attacking and sixth house is defense. If you see from the Arudha Lagna also, Arudha Lagna being in Gemini, the third house is Leo, which is again a malefic sign. Sixth house is Scorpio. So he will actually be fighting on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Now, this Graha Malika is starting with Rahu in the seventh house. So this is what he is interested in. And seventh house is also about war, by the way. Seventh house of love and war both are there in the seventh house. So he is interested in this. Okay, war. Okay. And this ending in Mars and Saturn in the 11th house of gains. And it's good to have these malefics in 11th house. It is very good. Okay. So this is ending in this is in a way also his impact on the world, what he will live by. But he is still a young man. It is too early to say his impact. But he's already having an impact. So many youngsters are interested in taking up the game of chess. As I said, Mars itself is a karaka for the game of chess. Okay, Mars and Saturn over here. So now another thing is, what is there any big Raj Yoga over here? So you see, Rahu is the lord of the Lagna, and Saturn is the lord of the fifth house. Now the planets at the beginning and ending, they automatically form a kind of yoga. So it's a yoga of first and fifth house. First and fifth house means a lot of following. So he will gain a lot of following, lot of following. Okay, and you have the Atma Karaka also having a kind of a nice Parivartana yoga with the Putra Karaka over here. This, by the way, is also ninth and 10th Lord yoga. We consider Moon to be lording Taurus sign. So, ninth Lord Moon and 10th Lord Mercury are having a strong Parivartana yoga. This is known as a Dharma Karmadhipati yoga. Okay. This also shows someone who is capable of doing great works. We will see in due course of time what he does. Okay. So, Rahu and this Mars Saturn. Another thing is, this Jupiter and Venus are also forming a Raja Yoga. Okay, Jupiter is the fourth lord and Venus is the ninth lord. Okay, and they are forming also a Raja Yoga. It's the second house and eighth house. Now, really speaking, what is happening with this Jupiter and Venus is they are supporting Rahu. You see, they are in the second house and the eighth house from Rahu. So it is like sustaining. Second house is always about sustaining Rahu, sustaining the planet. So Rahu is the sort of initiator of this Raja Yoga, and these two planets are uh, sustaining it. Okay, and the way this would get initiated, this yoga would get initiated is uh, by the 12th from it, which is lorded by Saturn and Rahu itself also. Aquarius sign is lorded by Rahu and Saturn, both of these. So again, this is part of the Graha Malika. So ultimately, whatever we see there is all one agenda. And Rahu, Mars, Saturn, malefic planets is about definitely fighting. It's good that is in a game like chess. So that malefic nature is coming out in this way. And otherwise, his image is his Arudha Lagna being in Gemini with Moon over here. He and aspected with Jupiter. He has this image of a charming person, very good natured. You know what you hear about a very good natured, calm, cool, collected person. That is this entire thing. Now let's come to this very interesting point about his victory over Ding Liren and the planets which contributed to it. So we talked about Venus. Okay, now you'll say Venus is in eighth house. What good is it? Whatever. But you see, look at from the Arudha Lagna because it's the image what we are really seeing. From the Arudha Lagna, Venus is in the 11th house. Okay, 11th house is house of gains. So it's a this Venus is definitely gonna help him. Okay, and as I said, it's also supporting this Rahu. Okay, sustaining this Rahu's yoga in a way. Um, and it also has what is called Ardha of the 10th house. 10th house, what we call Rajya Bhava, status. So this is going to give him status. So this will take status away from the enemy and give it to him. Okay. And the other planet which supported this, we had the chariot, which is that rook, which was a blunder. And then we had uh, the other piece was the bishop, right, which is the elephant, which is Jupiter. So Jupiter and Venus collaborated to make him win, and the reason why he won was that extra pawn, Saturn, at the end of this yoga. Rahu and Saturn. Saturn is the fifth lord, giving him Raj Yoga. By the way, Saturn just in the sign of Cancer. Please see the charts of leaders like Bill Clinton, um, George Bush, etc. Saturn in Cancer. Okay, Saturn in Cancer or Pisces, Sagittarius is supposed to be like a giver of Raj Yoga in its own sense. And here it is ending this Graha Malika Yoga. Okay, so so this Saturn is what gave him his status. This is in the second house from Arudha Lagna. Second house from Arudha Lagna is about Dhanam, about wealth, like from Lagna also, it is like, what is the source of your wealth? Where will you get your wealth? So that is over here. This also has Aruda of the second house, which is Dhana Aruda also over here. Okay. So, and then I've also corrected his Navamsha. Okay. Um, as per me, the 10th house has to be Aquarius, again, lauded by Rahu. You can see there is this Rahu Venus yoga in or connection in Navamsha as well as Dashamsha also. Rahu is aspecting Venus. And his victory has happened in Rahu Venus, Rahu Dasha, Venus Antardasha. And we are looking at Kevala Vimshotri because the moon is in the sign of Atmakaraka. The dispositor of moon is the Atmakaraka, or Shubhapati as we say is Atmakaraka. So we look at Vimshotri from the Mercury's nakshatra, and uh, in that he has won in Rahu Venus. This has started in May of 2023. So you can see just after this, I think in October or November something, he won the Chennai Open, I believe, or was it earlier than that? I'm not sure when exactly. And because of that, he got qualified for the candidates, which is the tournament where they select the challenger for the champion. Okay, so it was in this period that he got, he performed well. He on top of several great chess players, and because of which he qualified for candidates. He won the candidates unexpectedly. No one gave him even an outside chance. Okay, because no one at this young age has performed so well. And then he led India to victory in the Chess Olympiad, and then now he has become the world champion. All in this Rahu Venus Dasha. Okay. So there's so much more to say over here. Um, those who are interested in my sports related documentaries, you can notice the sign Virgo coming prominently over here, and Mars involved. Mars involved very much. Okay, we complain about this Mars, it is Nietzsche and all that, fine. But by the way, when Mars is with Saturn, what happens is, strangely enough, Mars becomes stronger, Saturn becomes weaker. Okay, so he this so you got to see it in a different way also. We can even say that the Lagna is, we can see from just the fact is the Graha Malika is starting from Rahu, so even that can be viewed as a Lagna. Okay, and from there this is happening in the fifth house. Okay, so he's definitely a very strong sports person because of this Mars. Mars is again connecting to the Lagna in the Dashamsha, and he has Virgo Lagna with a Atmakaraka Mercury exalted in the uh, Lagna. Now, just one point which people may complain about this Mercury 10th Lord in 9th house, all that is fine, but it is combust. But you see, because it is Atma Karaka, really the effects will not be seen now. Okay, it will be seen later, but now he is going to have a good time. Okay, and do notice he has become the champion at the age of 19, the age of Saturn. That's also important. Okay. 13, 16, 17, 18, 19. By the way, 19th year by Sudarshan Dasha is coming over here, the Antara Dasha, which is with Venus. And Venus caused him the victory. It was, by the way, Bharani Nakshatra, ruled by Venus, when this match happened. Okay, Bharani Nakshatra. And the Lagna was Rishabha Lagna. I am not showing it over here, but the Lagna was Rishabha Lagna or Taurus Lagna. Okay, Taurus is the ninth house over here. He has uh, the ninth and 10th lord in a very strong yoga in his chart. So, and Bharani, his birth nakshatra is Ardra, and Bharani is good Navatara from there. Sixth, there is what is it? Sadhya, right? Sadhya. So he was Sadhya meaning you will achieve. So he is definitely going to achieve something great in this. So this was an interesting thing. Hope it was you found this an interesting content, and I enjoyed it. Uh, it was spur of the moment, really. I thought over it only today, and I just on the spur of it, I made it. And let's see if ever his birth time, birth details come out, whether this is the one. I do feel at any rate I can bet my money it is a dual sign Lagna, and most probably either Virgo or Pisces, and I am putting my bet on Virgo, Kanya Lagna. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me. Namaste.